cannot get a second job without their chief constable's permission. And in exchange for those restrictions, ministers must accept the recommendations of the Independent Police Pay Tribunal. Police need a pay system fair, independent, and respected. And conference, we need local policing. The Tories and Labour have set central targets that meddle but do not deliver. They have distorted local priorities. And by awarding the same points for minor and serious crimes, they have sucked thousands unnecessarily into the criminal justice system. Central targets mean wasted effort and wasted resources chasing the wrong priorities, which is why they must go. We need local accountability to local people with the powers to set local priorities. And if local people don't like the results, there's an age-old solution. They can get rid of the decision makers. Conference, if the Liberal Democrats did not exist, all there would be on crime and justice from the Tories and Labour would be showboating and grandstanding. And if the Liberal Democrats did not exist, who would stand up for civil liberties? Not the so-called liberal conservatives, who just this summer called for tougher bail conditions, automatic sentences for knife carrying, more prisons, and, astonishing for a party that said it was against a surveillance society, the removal of checks on police surveillance. I just hope that the Conservatives can still be relied upon to vote against more detention without trial or ID cards. Goodbye, David Davis. It was nice knowing you. And if the Liberal Democrats did not exist, conference, who would rebuild our fading democracy? Not David Cameron, who has gone strangely quiet on constitutional change. I've got a challenge for you, David. Do you even stand by your commitment in your leadership campaign to fixed-term parliament? And if the Liberal Democrats did not exist, who would stand up for our children's future in a time of climate change? Not the Green Tories. The first thing Boris Johnson did when he became London's mayor, and what a mistake it wasn't, Brian Paddock, was to ditch green taxes on the biggest cars. And as for George Osborne, he's already ditched green taxes in favour of cutting petrol taxes. Not the planet's champion, but the gas guzzler's friend. And if the Liberal Democrats did not exist, who would stand up for fairness? Not Labour, who thought it was a good idea to increase income tax on the worst off to give better-off taxpayers a tax cut. And not the Conservatives either, whatever they now pretend. David Cameron and George Osborne both abstained on Labour's budget. Remember their first tax cut promise? Abolishing stamp duty on share dealing for their friends in the city. And their second was a cut in inheritance tax for households with £2 million. And we're now told that David Cameron and George Osborne were idealistic young people who cared about fairness. Perhaps they agonized over their options as they adjusted their fancy tailcoats. Mirror, mirror on the wall, which party is the fairest of them all? Tory, Lib Dem, or Labour? Well, when young David and young George were wondering which party to join, they should have known the answer. We had a Conservative government for 18 years. And during that period, the poor got poorer and the rich got richer and the gap got wider. And the reason was not some force of nature, but Tory policy decisions that were hard-nosed, sharp-eyed, and mean-minded. Tory decision to scrap the link between pensions and earnings. Result, more pensioner poverty. A Tory decision to scrap the uprating of out-of-work and in-work benefits. Result, more working poverty. A Tory decision to scrap the uprating of child benefit. Result, more child poverty. These chaps aren't stupid, so why do they think we were born yesterday? George Osborne will go fair when George Bush goes green. And fairness will become a Tory value when hell freezes over, Notting Hill becomes a workers' republic, and the Bullingdon Club affiliates to the Socialist International. And I've got news for David Cameron. You don't make society fairer by hoping for it or by talking about it. You can only make society fairer by helping the poor and the powerless, and that means giving them more money and more power over their own lives. And I've got a challenge for David Cameron. Name a single period of Conservative government in our history when Britain has become more equal. Name a single Conservative measure which even helped. David Cameron, like Tony Blair, wants to be all things to all people. Tories will have us believe they're the party of the environment and of the owners of big cars, of traditional values and of change, of equality and of lower taxes on the best off, of liberty and of removing checks on police surveillance, of European membership for Georgia, and of being the first country to pull out of any part of Europe's treaties. If politics is about making tough choices, the Tory party is about ducking hard decisions. Conference, a party that has every priority is a party that has none. A party with no heart, no core values, and no direction. There's only one party in British politics committed to the environment, and always has been. There's only one party committed to civil liberties, and always was. And there's only one party committed to fairness. Only one party committed to handing power back to the people. And only one party for building a world built and based on the rule of law, not the law of the jungle. Conference, Labour can't